When the Japanese waitress revealed the shocking truth about the millionaire woman at dinner, it was supposed to be just another evening at the Golden Lotus, a restaurant known for its exotic sushi and lurking secrets. The air buzzed with chatter, the clatter of chopsticks slicing through delicate pieces of fish, and the clink of glasses filled with sake. Yet something felt off. The atmosphere thickened with an unsettling tension that held a grip on the patrons, like an unseen specter lurking at the edge of the shadows. Eyes darted between tables, catching glimpses of hushed whispers and cautious glances, all directed towards a striking woman draped in pearls and silk, a millionaire by all appearances. Her laughter rang out, light and bright, mesmerizing everyone around her. But then came the waitress, slender and poised, with an enigmatic smile painted across her lips. She moved like a wisp of smoke, gliding between tables, her presence unnoticed but palpable. Suddenly, she halted right beside the millionaire, her eyes narrowing as if looking through layers of deception. What happened next left everyone breathless. In a hushed tone that rippled through the restaurant like a shockwave, the waitress leaned in, her voice barely a whisper, but the words echoed like thunder. "She is not who you think she is." Gasps erupted from nearby tables, the shock reverberating in the air like a slap. People leaned in closer, their attention captured, hearts racing with anticipation. Who was this woman? What dark secrets were hidden beneath layers of designer clothes and a polished facade? The atmosphere shifted, curiosity crackled like static electricity. The millionaire's laughter faded, replaced by a tightening of her jaw. Was it fear? Anger? Or perhaps panic? She shot a sharp glance at the waitress, and for a moment, time seemed to freeze. Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let us connect. The tension hung thick in the air as the millionaire's eyes flicked wildly, searching for an ally among the onlookers. Murmurs rose, disbelief coursing through the room. Faces wore expressions of shock, confusion, and a strange, dark thrill. Questions hung in the balance. What did she mean? What could this waitress possibly know? Just then, the waitress continued, eyes fierce. You think you can hide behind money and charm? Truth has a way of breaking through, and then, without warning, the lights flickered, plunging the restaurant into near darkness. Gasps turned to screams, and the sound of shuffling feet erupted as diners stood in agitation. Amidst the chaos, a single voice rang out, "Run." But who were they running from? The restaurant felt like the epicenter of a storm, and as the shadows danced, the mysterious facade of the millionaire began to crack, revealing hints of desperation. Everyone's eyes fixated, compelled, waited for the next bizarre twist, for the truth that was still lurking just beneath the surface of this glamorous facade. Would the next revelation tear the veil wide open, or would darkness swallow them all? The darkness enveloped the Golden Lotus, but it was the shadows cast by secrets that truly blinded its patrons. A sense of impending doom crashed over the crowd like a violent wave. Fear clawed at their throats, mingling with the panic in the air. No one knew who to trust now. Was it the millionaire with her inscrutable expression, or the petite waitress with an unsettling glimmer in her eyes? In the faint, flickering glow of emergency lights, the millionaire clutched the edge of her table, knuckles whitening. Her breath quickened, pushing each exhale through trembling lips. Behind her polished facade, cracks began to show. While the room erupted into chaos, she could sense a pair of eyes fixated on her, piercing, unwavering. Those eyes belonged to the waitress, who stood defiantly, ready to unearth whatever horrors lay buried beneath the millionaire's upscale exterior. "Let everyone leave," cried the owner of the restaurant, his voice booming in an attempt to restore order. This is not a game. But his words fell on deaf ears. The diners, now driven by adrenaline, surged toward the exits. Tables tipped over, the sound of shattered glass ringing in the air. The waitress, seemingly undeterred by the frenzy, took a single step forward. You think you can escape the truth? You can't outrun what you've done. Her words cut through the din. They struck a chord within the millionaire, who momentarily caught her breath. What truth did this girl know? Was it possible someone from her past had followed her here, into this elegant chaos? Then, in a surprising move, the millionaire spoke up, her voice steady despite the turmoil. You think this is about me? Her challenge hung heavy between them, daring the waitress to unveil whatever secret she carried. Tension mounted, a tension so taut you could almost feel it snap. The surrounding crowd hushed as the atmosphere crackled with the promise of an impending revelation. She leaned closer, confiding in the shaky candlelight. I am not afraid of you, or your words. But the waitress wasn't finished. No? Then why do you tremble? She held her gaze, and in that instant, it felt as though an earthquake had ripped through the foundation of their confrontation. Just then, the emergency lights flickered again, plunging the restaurant back into darkness. It was a moment that felt stretched, as if time itself resisted the chaos unfolding. Screams erupted anew, but amidst the panic, the focus shifted. Suddenly, the slide of a chair scraping against the floor resonated in the silence, followed by quick footsteps that echoed louder with each heartbeat. Then it happened. A shattering sound, glass meeting floor with a finality that made everyone freeze. An object the source of panic had been thrown, and it landed with a resounding crash at the feet of the millionaire. Before anyone could react, her face turned pale, revealing fear that danced across her features. No, she gasped, backing away from the sight of destruction. Not here. Not now. Curiosity swept the crowd as they hesitated. What could possibly be so terrifying about a mere object? The wealthy woman scrambled backward, her previous bravado crumbling into a whirlwind of panic. In the back corner, a figure began to emerge from the dark, cloaked in the same shadows that had cloaked the truth. A part of the crowd gasped, recognition dawning. The millionaire might not have been the sole player here. What do you think you're doing? The voice cut through the thick air like a knife, filled with familiarity and suspicion. The tension was razor-thin now, and the stakes had never been higher. All eyes turned from the millionaire to the shadowy figure, uncertainty churning. What would be revealed next? Who was this newcomer, and how did they fit into this sinister puzzle? The air crackled with energy, questions boiling like a storm about to overflow. Would the truth finally emerge, or would darkness once again obscure the path forward? The whisper of movement drew nearer. The shadowy figure stepped forward into the dim light, revealing a face that sent a ripple of shock through the crowd. It was Rain, the millionaire's former partner, the one she thought had disappeared from her life entirely. Gasps echoed in the restaurant, the crowd's reaction morphing from clamoring fear to a gripping intrigue. Rain's eyes locked onto the millionaire's, simmering with a mixture of anger and a sadness that spoke of countless untold stories. You thought I wouldn't find you? Rain's voice was low, laced with venom. You thought you could just erase me? The millionaire's composure was slipping away like sand through her fingers. Rain? She breathed, disbelief woven tightly through her tone. Anger surged within her, breaking free from the last threads of her serenity. This was never supposed to happen. You were gone. In that instant, the air thickened with tension as the rest of the restaurant held its collective breath. Focused solely on this unintended reunion, the chaos faded into mere background noise. You turned your back on everything we built, on everything we were. Rain stepped closer, her fist clenched tight at her side. But you can't hide forever. The past always catches up. What do you know? The millionaire snapped, struggling to regain control. Nobody is interested in your lies. It's not lies, Rain shot back, her tone steely. It's the truth that you've been running from. And guess what? I'm here to make sure you face it. The whispers of the crowd became a churning storm, excitement and horror at the edge of their seats. The sight of two women, formerly locked in passion and partnership, now drowning in a sea of betrayal and accusation, was electrifying. Can we just? The restaurant owner attempted to intervene, but his voice was drowned out by the tide of emotional chaos. You don't get to dictate this. Rain roared, turning sharply towards him, eyes blazing. This isn't just a restaurant. This is the stage for her reckoning. With that, she gestured toward the shattered glass on the floor, something ominous hidden beneath. No, you can't. The millionaire tried to push past Rain, desperation in her voice now apparent. You can't bring that here. That was when the unease in the crowd transformed into palpable dread. There, half hidden among the fragments of the shattered object, was something that caught the flickering light, the glint of steel. "What is it?" Someone shouted from the audience, a nervous energy buzzing around them. "Don't look at it. Don't." The millionaire cried, her eyes wide, panic flaring through her. But it was too late. Even as she shouted, people were moving closer, curiosity overpowering their fear. Rain's lips curled into a twisted smile. "You see, this is just the beginning." Before she could finish, the emergency lights flickered once more, then went out. The restaurant plunged into complete darkness. Screams erupted again, even more frantic this time. Heartbeats quickened, fear collided with anticipation, and just as another scream split the air, a metallic clang sounded, echoing like a final judgment. "Where is she?" A voice bellowed from the darkness, frantic and accusatory. Then a soft, chilling whisper drifted through the shadows. "You thought you could silence me, didn't you?" The tension soared again. What could she possibly mean? Time stretched infinitely. Would the truth buried within that darkness finally surface? Or would it dissolve back into the swirling shadows, leaving the diners more lost than before? Panic erupted, each scream ricocheting through the darkness, creating an orchestra of fear. The clatter of chairs overturned mingled with frantic whispers as the crowd struggled to orient themselves. Shadows shifted, frantic silhouettes moved aimlessly, searching for answers, desperate to escape the uncertainty that hung thick in the air. "Stay calm," the restaurant owner yelled, his voice trembling but authoritative amidst the chaos. "Everyone, please, remain in your seats." But the words seemed hollow, swallowed by the overwhelming tides of terror. Amid the shuffling and muffled gasps, a single voice cut through the din of voice, steady and clear. "It's not just her you should fear, you know." The voice belonged to the Japanese waitress, who stepped forward from the periphery. Her figure barely outlined against the faint flicker of emergency lights sporadically struggling to catch up with the turmoil. Behind every story, there's a darker one lurking just beneath the surface, waiting to be seen. The crowd's attention shifted abruptly towards her, a glimmer of hope igniting as they sensed a break in the chaos. "What do you mean?" someone asked, trembling yet intrigued. Rain, still locked in her confrontation with the millionaire, shot a look back at the waitress, her expression darkening. "Stay out of this," she hissed, a venomous warning trailing in the air. "I can't," the waitress replied, her voice steady as steel. "It's not just the two of you. Everything is connected. Secrets run deeper than you know." Moments passed like hours, the restaurant's darkness pressing in, making it hard to breathe. The glint of metal remained a haunting focal point, the light from the emergency lights barely illuminating its sharp edges. Curiosity now battled fear as the diners collectively held their breath, waiting for revelations they hadn't asked for but desperately needed. "Enough games. What do you know?" The millionaire's frustration boiled over, her voice thick with unease. But something deeper lurked behind her anger, a flicker of apprehension about how much the waitress could expose. That a heartbeat of silence settled before the waitress spoke again. "You really don't remember, do you? That night, the real reason you and Rain fell apart. I've seen the aftermath, pieces you've scattered to protect yourselves." "What night?" Rain pressed, her body tense, every muscle ready to confront the storm that had been brewing within them all. The waitress stepped closer, her presence grounding despite the hysteria surrounding her. "The night everything changed. The night you thought it was only about money and power, it was so much more. There's a reason Rain's here, and it's not just revenge. It's justice." "What did you see?" the millionaire hissed, her eyes narrowing into a glare that barely masked her fear. "Just before everything was destroyed," the waitress replied, her gaze flickering to where the metal lay among the shards. "It wasn't an accident. It was planned." The words hung in the air, heavy and charged. With each syllable, the tension crackled like static electricity, drawing the crowd tighter into the web of secrets unfolding. "Who did this?" Rain demanded, eyes blazing like a wildfire. Suddenly, the emergency lights flickered again, catching onto the steel shard sparkling amidst the wreckage, revealing not only its form but a name engraved on its surface that sent a shockwave through the room. As the truth threatened to burst forth, a loud crash echoed from the back of the restaurant. followed by a desperate, muffled shout. The sensation of a sinister presence loomed larger, and every heart raced. Then, from the shadows, another figure emerged, face half hidden, a figure that held yet another piece to the complicated puzzle. "Put it down," the new figure commanded, a menacing tone slicing through the tension, demanding immediate attention. "You don't know what you're playing with." And in that moment, the ground shifted again beneath their feet. The layers of betrayal were peeling back, revealing a depth of darkness that none could have predicted. As the lights flickered one last time, casting every face into a shadowed panic, the air thickened with anticipation. What skirmish was about to erupt? What unearthly truth awaited them? The storm was far from over, and the dam was about to break. The tension in the room crackled like a live wire, choking the air as everyone turned to face the newcomer. The figure, cloaked in shadows, took a step forward, revealing just enough to reflect the erratic emergency lights glinting off a low hood. "Stay back," the millionaire shouted, one hand instinctively reaching for her purse. "You don't know me. You have no idea who you're threatening." Rain's expression morphed into something dangerously determined. "And you think that scares me?" she volleyed, her voice a steady rumble that seemed to vibrate through the trembling diners. The shadows shifted again as the new figure took another step, this time more assured. "I know exactly who you both are. I know the lies, the betrayal, and most importantly, I know the truth behind the chaos." What the figure said had the effect of shoving an iron fist into the ball of tension that resided in the pit of Rain's stomach. She was drawn in, curiosity battling her instinct to run. "Who are you?" Rain barked, her heart drumming in her ears. "And what do you want?" "I'm the one who witnessed everything unravel that night. The one you both abandoned in the chaos," the figure revealed, peeling back the hood to reveal a familiar face, one neither Rain nor the millionaire expected to see. "Jake?" Rain's breath caught in her throat, confusion blending with disbelief. "You survived?" The crowd gasped, whispers of uncertainty cascading through the restaurant like ripples in a pond. Jake's eyes glimmered with an intensity that cut through the chaos. "Not just survived. I've been piecing the fragments together. You have no idea what you've left behind." The millionaire scoffed, her facade cracking further. "This is ridiculous. You can't possibly blame me for what happened to you." "Oh, but I do," Jake replied, voice dripping with venom. "Because you didn't just destroy my life. You shattered everything we built together. And now, the truth is ready to be unveiled." The waitress stepped in, her calm presence a stark contrast to the whirlwind of emotions. "Jake, this isn't just about you. It's bigger than that." "Bigger?" Jake interrupted, his voice thunderous. "No, this is about justice. People need to know what really happened that night." Rain kept her eyes fixed on Jake, trying to decipher the storm in his expression. "What do you mean? How much do you know?" He took a sharp breath, the tension mounting. "I know about the deal that went down, about the money, the threats. I was there when the shadows of greed began to rear their ugly heads." Suddenly, the lights flickered and dimmed, throwing the room into darkness for an unsettling moment before they grimly resumed. The unease festered, as the cloudy fear in the room swelled, making it hard to think straight. "Is that what you meant by justice?" Rain asked, her voice dropping to a whisper. "You want revenge?" "No, Rain. I want the world to see what lurks beneath your polished lives. I want truth exposed, and the lies to fall apart." At that moment, the emergency lights flickered violently, almost as if the restaurant itself trembled with expectation. The weight of Jake's words sank into the crowd, looking wide-eyed and unmoored. "They need to know about the company, about the people controlling your every move." "What people?" Rain pressed, her heart racing with the thrill of a revelation looming just out of reach. Then, a chilling laugh echoed from the back of the room, slicing through the gathering dread. The restaurant owner, who had remained quiet, stepped forward now, his eyes glinting with sinister mischief. "Did you really think you were the only ones with secrets?" he taunted, his voice dripping with mockery. Just like that, the calm facade of their night shattered like glass. The atmosphere thickened, layering fear upon fear. "Everyone is in on this," he continued, a sly grin creeping across his face. What had begun as a dinner took a turn into nightmarish territory. Each heartbeat echoed a truth darker than they could imagine. The room held its breath again, caught in the electric grip of uncertainty. What would come? Crashing down next? What secrets were entwined like vines, suffocating the very air they breathed? And as the question hung in the air, a piercing scream originated from the kitchen, thrusting everyone back into a spiraling tempest of dread. What other horrors lingered in the shadows? The scream was quickly followed by a cacophony of chaos. Plates clattering, chairs scraping across the floor, and gasps from the diners filled the air like a sudden storm. Rain's heart raced, adrenaline pumping through her veins as her body tensed. She turned, half expecting to see a creature from the depths of their darkest fears emerge from the kitchen. But it was only the waitress. Her eyes were wide, not from fear but resolve, as she raced back into the main dining area. "You have to listen," she shouted, her voice piercing through the din. "Jake's right. It's not just about him." Confusion and fear flickered through the room. Between them, the millionaire's expression hardened against the growing panic. She darted her gaze from Jake to the waitress, disbelief curling her lips into a smirk. "You?" She shot back. "What do you know? You're just the help." The statement hung heavy, igniting a spark in the waitress's eyes. "I'm not just anything. I saw it all, the deals, the meetings under the table, the threats." "You think a lowly waitress wouldn't notice the shady things happening in this restaurant?" "I had to stay quiet just to keep my job." An intense silence followed, each person frozen, caught in the tension that twisted like barbed wire. Rain felt the weight of their collective gaze, her heart pounding in her chest. "What did you see?" The waitress stepped forward, her breath hitching. "I saw what happened to you, Jake. How they plotted against you. 2 nights before the chaos, I overheard them talking about you, planning something big. It was all about you being the scapegoat. They wanted you to take the fall." A murmur of disbelief rippled through the onlookers. Rain scanned the faces of the crowd, searching for clarity, but all she found was confusion mixed with a growing sliver of fear that seemed to infect the air like a poison. Jake's jaw tightened. "You knew and said nothing?" The waitress shifted her weight, guilt flickering in her eyes. "I didn't believe it at first. I thought they were just bluffing. You were family, right? I thought you'd be safe." She shifted her gaze back to Rain, a hint of desperation threading through her words. "But when I realized the truth, it was already too late." The millionaire scoffed, disbelief etched across her face. "This is absurd. You're grasping for attention." "No." The waitress's voice rose, piercing. "It's all part of it. I have something to show you." Before she could continue, the lights flickered again, a low hum resonating through the room. Suddenly, a loud crash reverberated from deep within the back of the kitchen. Rain jumped, dread curling around her stomach as the shadows shifted in the corners of her vision. "Stay here," Jake ordered, taking a step towards the kitchen entrance. But before he could take another step, the owner of the restaurant moved swiftly in front of him. Now, we wouldn't want to ruin this beautiful evening with chaos, would we?" The glint in his eyes sharpened, like a wolf surveying his prey. "People don't forget their place, dear Jake. You should know that by now." Rain felt the room constrict, a band of fear tightening around her chest. Every instinct screamed to run, to escape the shadows that crept closer. "What happens now?" she whispered, looking back to the group, eyes darting from Jake and the waitress to the ominous figure before them. She could sense the lingering secrets hovering in the air, almost suffocating. The million-dollar lives they all clung to were blowing apart at the seams. This was ground zero for the truth. The waitress, shaking yet resolute, stepped forward again. "If we don't act now, we may lose everything, our lives. Our truth, the only way out is together." In that haunting moment, a collective understanding settled in. The stakes had never been higher, the walls closing in with lethal intent. And as the tension built towards an imminent explosion, all eyes turned to the kitchen door, bracing for whatever horror awaited them next. What other monstrous truths were still waiting to be uncovered? The kitchen door swung open, revealing a disheveled chef, his face pale and sweat-soaked. He looked as if he had seen a ghost. "There's something back there. We need to get out now." A collective gasp erupted. Panic ricocheted through the crowd like a bullet. Rain's heart thundered in her chest, the urgency around her palpable. The waitress clutched her arm, eyes wild and pleading. "We can't leave. Not until we make them pay." Jake stepped forward, his stance defiant. "What are you talking about? You think just charging through the door will solve our problems?" But before anyone could respond, A low growl rumbled from the shadows of the kitchen. The air thickened with dread. Every eye locked on the darkened threshold, breaths caught in throats, waiting for whatever horror had been unleashed. I swear, we need to. The chef's voice got cut off by a loud crash. A metal pot clattered to the ground, and from the depths of the kitchen, something monstrous began to emerge. It was an amalgamation of broken dishes and shattered dreams, a horrifying figure weaving through the clutter, dragging a tray. It moved with a strange, jerking motion, its shadow enveloping the floor beneath it. No, it can't be. The millionaire backed away, eyes wide in horror. You have to be kidding me. What is that? Rain's voice came out in a trembling whisper, her eyes fixed on the thing dragging itself closer. It wasn't just a kitchen assistant, it was something much worse. A twisted representation of betrayal, a monstrous echo of all the secrets that lay beneath their lives. It's a warning, the waitress finally spoke, voice low and resolute. All of it. The betrayal. The people who think they can play with lives like they're puppets. This isn't over until the truth comes out. Suddenly, the kitchen light flickered, and in that instant, everything was illuminated. The shadows, the fear in every pair of eyes, even the waitress's hands trembling slightly as she steadied herself. Then, the growl erupted again, deeper, as if the monster itself were laughing, mocking them. It lunged forward. Chairs thumped as diners scrambled back. Some screamed, while others remained frozen in shock, paralyzed by the unfolding chaos. Stay together, Jake shouted, rallying the group. We have to find a way out, or confront what is happening. But the millionaire's skepticism bubbled, causing her to scoff. You all are mad. Look at this place. It's just a restaurant, a silly little charade. Rain felt anger bubbling up inside her. No, it's never been just a restaurant. It's a stage for manipulation and lies. She glared at the millionaire, the realization solidifying within her. You're a part of this too, aren't you? You played your role in all of this. The tension reached a fever pitch, and as the monstrous figure neared, desperation filled the room. A rapid plan began forming in Rain's mind. They needed to disrupt this dance of chaos while uncovering the truth. I have an idea, Rain said, determination hardening her voice. If we show them we're not afraid. If we take control. Before she could finish, a deafening crash engulfed the room. The kitchen door splintered as something large barreled through, knocking it off its hinges and sending everyone stumbling backward. Rain's heart raced, a mix of fear and adrenaline coursing through her. We have to act now. Yet, as Jake turned to rally the group, Rain caught a glimpse of something in the debris, an old knife that glinted sharply. Its very presence felt like a sign. The atmosphere thick with uncertainty, Rain edged closer, knowing that their lives hung in the balance. What kind of reckoning awaited them beneath the shadows of their own making? She took a breath, steeling herself for a confrontation that could change everything. Would they finally uncover the truth or be consumed by the darkness that loomed? Rain snatched the knife, its cold weight both comforting and terrifying in her hand. She could feel the gaze of the grotesque figure on her. It was moving closer, dragging itself with a determined, grotesque energy. Fear prickled her skin, yet she held her ground like a pillar against the storm. Jake, we need to distract it, she yelled, heart hammering against her ribs. We can't just give it our backs. He shot back, eyes darting around the room, calculating. The tension crackled like static, and the group was paralyzed by dread. The monster shifted, an unnatural twisting of limbs and shadows. It opened its mouth, a dark maw filled with rotting teeth. Rain clutched the knife tighter, an anchor in the chaos. Rain, what do you want us to do? The waitress was trembling, a thin veil of courage thinly masking her fear. Rain's mind raced. We need to create a barrier, something to block its path, to keep it away from the others. Like what? The millionaire scoffed, still harboring her disbelief. Anything. Use the furniture. Jake cried out, already pushing a heavy chair toward the monstrosity's path. The others joined, rushing to form a desperate barricade. As they pushed against the fear gripping them, Rain felt a surge of unity. They were together, fighting against something far more sinister than they had imagined. The clatter of chairs ricocheted around the room, a wild symphony of panic and defiance. The thing inched closer, its growl reverberating through their bones. Rain, her heart raging in her chest, locked eyes with Jake. On 3, 1, 2, 3. With the collective effort, they shoved several tables and chairs towards the creature. It stumbled back, momentarily halted, before lunging once again. Rain's breath caught, the foul stench invading her senses, her stomach turning. Now, Jake screamed, pushing against the last offensive piece, a large table that tipped precariously toward the monster. Just as it regained its footing, the table collided with it, slamming against the creature and causing it to rear back, emitting a shriek that chilled Rain to the bone. But the victory was short-lived. As the creature recoiled, the light overhead flickered again, and the ground trembled. The walls seemed to moan, and Rain's gut twisted. This battle felt larger than themselves, larger than the restaurant. Desperation fanned the flames of Rain's courage. We can't wait for it to tire. We need to confront it, expose the truth. What truth? The millionaire croaked, now backed against the metal display case, her bravado slipping away. It's not just a monster, Rain replied, quiet confidence piercing through her fear. It's a manifestation of all our secrets, the anger, the lies, they feed it. We have to face what we buried. What are you saying? The waitress pressed, wide-eyed. We can't. That's exactly what we have to do. We need to look it in the eye, all of us. Everyone fell silent, the gravity of her words washing over them. As the creature growled again, something shifted in its posture. An eerie recognition flickered in the air. The monstrous figure seemed aware of their resolve, and it paused, swaying like a pendulum caught between realms. Brave or foolish? Rain whispered to herself, stepping forward. The knife glinted against the light, a trembling symbol of hope and danger alike. What would happen when they faced the embodiment of their demons, revealing their darkest truths? Were they strong enough together to break the cycle of betrayal and fear, or would they be swallowed whole by the nightmarish creature of their own making? The room's air thickened with anticipation, and Rain understood one thing. The next moments could shatter everything they knew, or forge a new reality from the ashes of fear. Would they uncover the truth, or would they become part of the very darkness they sought to banish? Rain took a deep breath, the weight of the knife feeling heavier in her grip. She was stepping forward, but uncertainty clawed at her mind. She turned slowly to the group, whose eyes were wide with fear, reflecting the monster that loomed before them. If we don't face this together, it will consume us all. Jake hesitated, his brow furrowed. You mean to confront it? To just stand there? Yes, Rain asserted, her voice cutting through the tension like a knife through flesh. Look at it. This creature thrives on our fears. The more we run, the stronger it becomes. The millionaire scoffed, her bravado shattered, yet still trying to maintain an air of superiority. This is madness. You think our issues can simply be resolved with a face-off? What? Before she could finish, a shudder tore through the ground beneath their feet, as if the restaurant itself was responding to her skepticism. The lights flickered ominously, sending shadows dancing on the walls. A piercing howl erupted from the monster, echoing their doubts back at them. Rain's heart raced. This was the moment. Are you with me? She questioned, her tone firm yet pleading. The waitress, trembling, found her voice. If we have to, then I'm in. I'll go too, Jake stammered. The millionaire glanced between the others, the resolve of the group breaking through her fear. Fine, let us get it over with. Rain stepped further into the light, her breath coming in short bursts, merging with the dreadful growls of the beast. It seemed to widen its stance, muscles coiling like springs ready to unleash devastation. Was it anticipation or fear she saw reflected in its grotesque face? On 3, Rain said, locking eyes with Jake for strength. 1, 2, 3. Together, they surged forward, arms raised, facing the beast as it shifted and snarled. The room felt alive, the walls vibrating with a heavy tension. And then, as if the universe itself held its breath, they stood united, a line of courage against the chaotic storm. Let it hear us, Rain yelled, voice surging with an enthusiasm she didn't quite own. We want back down. A blast of wind from the creature's howl sent the chairs scattering, but they held their ground. We see you, Rain shouted. We see the lies, the regrets we buried. You don't scare us anymore. In that moment, the creature paused, its eyes dilating, as if gauging the strength of their unity. Suddenly, the waitress spoke up, her voice breaking through the chaos. I know why it's here. This monster is made from our guilt, our secrets. Gasps filled the air, eyes darting. What do you mean? Jake demanded. Remember the night of the gala? When Marie's husband. Didn't he mean for him to die? Marie, the millionaire, blurted, her facade of pride shattering. The waitress's lips trembled. But you did nothing. Your silence only gave the beast more power. It thrives on our hidden truths. We have to face them. Realization crashed over the group like a tidal wave, leaving them breathless. Suddenly, the room felt heavier, the weight of unspoken words suffocating. The creature seemed to sway, the shadows flickering with uncertainty. Rain pressed on, emboldened. Then let us bring our secrets into the light. Each one of us has something to say. Before they could respond, a flash of darkness surged from the monster as if it were feeding on their revelation. The ground shook, echoing a terrible roar that twisted their insides. But in that chaos, Rain realized it wasn't just the monster they were confronting. It was themselves. Each truth had the power to either quell the creature or give it more strength. Will we break it? Rain shouted over the din. Or will we succumb to our darkness? The walls seemed to growl back. They were at a precipice, a moment filled with uncertainty. Could they let go of the past? Would they stand together, baring their souls and shattering the chains of guilt? As the creature surged toward them with a ferocity rarely witnessed, Rain clasped the knife tightly. A decision loomed thick in the air. It could either bind them together or tear them apart. What awaited them when they finally faced their truths? Could they conquer the beast, or would it engulf them completely? The next breath they took could change everything. Rain's heart hammered against her ribs as she moved closer to the beast, the weight of the knife heavy in her hand like an anchor tethering her to reality. The creature loomed, its form twisted and grotesque, pulsing with the shadows of their collective secrets. Unity surged among them, an electric current that crackled through the air. We will not give in to fear. Together, she yelled, her voice a fierce chord resonating in the midst of chaos. Jake stepped forward, eyes blazing with conviction. I remember the night too. The secrets we kept burned us. Just as he spoke, a gust of wind rippled through the room, sending more echoes of their past swirling amongst them. The creature roared, a sound filled with fury and pain, as if it were a confirmation of all the dark truths buried beneath those designer gowns and polished smiles. That Marie's voice broke through the chaos, trembling yet resolute. I was in love with someone who wasn't mine, and in the end, it cost a life. I was terrified of losing everything, so I said nothing. I let him drown in my silence. The confession hung in the air like a splinter piercing flesh, the weight of her words sending ripples of realization through the group. The creature twisted, recoiling as if sensing the very fabric of its power slipping away. I helped cover it up. Rain took a step forward, grounding herself. We all played our part, and we thought silence meant safety. But it only fed the darkness we created. Each confession was a knife slicing through the veil of deceit. The atmosphere shifted. As Jake joined in, the shadows retreated slightly, as if responding to the truth being unveiled. I should have spoken out. I should have protected you all. We each carry our own burden, the waitress added, her voice gaining strength. But when we hide them, we allow the darkness to grow. The monster let out a howl that vibrated through the walls, shaking their resolve. It thrashed, but they stood firm. Rain raised the knife high, feeling empowered. We face this together. Every hidden truth gives you less power. We will not hide anymore. The figure stopped moving, swaying as if contemplating its next move. The weight of their confessions drew them into a sphere of solidarity. Tirades of guilt became shared burdens released into the atmosphere. Each one of you has something to say. Share it. Break the cycle. Rain cried out, the fire igniting in her chest. I let my ambition blind me. The millionaire shouted, her tone cracking. I sacrificed love for wealth and lost everything. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't cut it. Jake roared alongside her. But we can make it right. By confronting what we've done. Every choice, every betrayal, let us air it out right here. Revelations spilled out, each truth stitched together like an unbreakable chain forged from honesty. And Rain knew deep down it was working. The beast writhed and shrieked, the shadowy energy flickering as the burden released from each of them shattered the wall of fear around it. Suddenly, a change overcame the creature, twisting and contracting, shrinking under the weight of their unified truths. It let out a final, screeching roar, a sound like glass shattering, reverberating throughout the room. With every final repressed confession, the threat grew smaller, the air clearer. In unison, they stepped closer, each new truth giving them strength. The truth is a light. We will shine together. Rain yelled, and they raised their hands, hearts pounding in rhythm. The monster cried out one last time, and with a final pulse, it collapsed into a swirling mist, dissipating like fog on a sunny day, leaving behind nothing but the weight of those truths in their hands as the emergency lights flickered to full brightness. Clarity filled the room. It felt lighter now. They stood united, breaths mingling in the aftermath of their truths laid bare. Daring to look each other in the eye, they realized the darkness couldn't sustain itself. Is it over? The waitress panted, disbelief mingling with hope as she stood alongside Rain. Not yet, Jake replied, determination weaving through his voice. This is just the beginning. Healing takes truth, and unity breeds strength. We have to keep communicating. The millionaire nodded, a newfound softness blooming in her expression. And I'll do my part moving forward. We can rebuild, together. As the broken pieces of the night scattered amidst a breath of renewed energy, Rain felt a wave of relief wash over her. They had faced their deepest fears, and though shadows would still linger, they had taken the first steps toward confronting them. Let us walk out of here together, Rain suggested, a hesitant smile breaking through. And as they stepped into the light of the bustling street outside, the remnants of their shared darkness faded away, casting their fears aside like discarded shadows. The night was not just an end, but also a promise of new beginnings. Now was the time to share this story, to transform pain into purpose, to let everyone know that as long as they stood together, they could survive anything. You need to subscribe now to ensure you don't miss out on more powerful stories that dive into the depths of human experience. This is the moment to show your support. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. Don't forget to flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this gripping conclusion. And please, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformative ending. Don't wait even one more second.